Lesson 2 of chapter 3 talks about creating, applying, and editing cascading style sheets. This begins to show the true power of what cascading style sheets can do for a website. First thing I'm going to do is in the properties panel. I am still on the SPA web page, by the way. In the properties panel, change from HTML to CSS, and some items at the bottom do change. And then also have the cascading style sheet panel open, possibly expanded, and then select all. Next thing we're going to do is in that panel there's a button that says new cascading style sheet rule. Click on that and it's going to bring up a place where we can add a few items. First we're going to add the name, which is called list headings, and then at the bottom where that defined rule was going to be saved at. We're going to actually make this saved on a new sheet file. So it's going to create a new file that's going to have our rule on it. And there's an advantage to that, which we'll see later on. Hit OK, and it's going to ask us where to save it. And of course, we're going to save it in our folder where the other items are. And we're going to call this SU Styles. And it puts a .css extension on the page to note it as a cascading style sheet document. Hit save. And now notice over on the cascading style sheets our .css file appears along with our new definition. To set up the rules for list headings, first they want us to change this to Arial and the font size to 12. Now notice the list of font sizes far exceeds what normal HTML permits. So we have more options, numbers along with extra small, small, large, extra large. The same with font weight is I'm going to make it bold, but there is bolder, there's lighter, there's numbers. So you may want to experiment with those to try to find out what the differences are as time goes on. Font style, I'm going to choose normal versus italic versus oblique. And then under color, I'm going to come down here and make this 006, which is a dark blue. And I'll hit apply and then OK. Now we have the rule set up, and you can actually see if you want to go back to see what your items are, you can actually double click on this to bring that window back up. Or I'm going to shrink down my files panel, and it shows the properties for the cascading style sheet for each of the items that we set something up. For the font, the size, the color, the style, the weight, things along that nature. Now what you can this actually next part shows how the power actually exists. Is I want to make these headings, massage and facials, take on this new rule. There's a number of ways to do this, but one way I'm going to do it is highlight the text or the words you want to have that take place, and then go down to the properties panel and select under targeted rule list headings, which is the name of our definition we made a few minutes ago. And now look, it changes it to the all these properties are instantly applied to that text. I'll do the same thing for facials, same thing for body treatments. So these headings are now all taking on a uniform look with the same size, color, boldness, everything along that nature. So it saves a lot of mouse clicks and everything else to get to that point. I'm going to save my document right now just to make sure if something bad happens that we're safe. To edit the rule, one way I already mentioned it is if you double click, you can bring up your property and change that to say 14 and hit apply. And notice when I do that, every instance where that style has been applied automatically updates. So you can, in one swoop, update text in numerous ways, which is quite remarkable. Now, if I let my mouse hover over top of my rule for a second, it brings up this little, it looks like a captain's wheel, and I can click on that, and it actually brings up and shows what the kind of the path of the style is. And then you can actually, if you want, you can click on that item and it brings up the definition of the cascading style sheet. And this is actually what the style sheet looks like in the format that is created. So I'm actually want to hit save all because it's saying it's not saved, and now that error message goes away. So this tab is my cascading style sheet. Here's my SPA page, and I want to go back to design. And notice too, it's referencing where my style sheets are coming from. So I can come in here, and actually, if I want to change this to just say a different size, again, I could change this to 18, for example. Notice this, automatically updated, which is remarkable. So I can easily on the fly change the size of these number of ways. I'll change it back to 14 because I think that's kind of what they wanted us to leave it as. And that just kind of shows how to set up a basic style sheet for a web page.